Easy from Eddie Hernandez.
2 months ago, I attacked Roja and finally get this dead weight off my back. Now people ask me for these entire 2 months, why? At 16 years old, I was almost sent to prison. I grew up on the streets of Mexico, and I grew up in a situation that none of you could ever understand. You could never imagine the hardships I had to go through. I almost go to prison, and I was told that I would spend the rest of my life there if I do not find something to do. And that's where Roja find me. He tell me that he can help me become the best professional wrestler on the planet. Now, I know Rey Mysterio, so how bad can he be? I was 17 at the time. I knew nothing. I knew nothing about the business. I knew nothing about the sport. And Roja told me how long he'd been involved. He'd tell me all of his accomplishments, and I believe him, but he doesn't know the sport anymore. This is in 1995. Things have changed, and he did not change with them. He never tell me how much things change. I won it first, and so I never questioned him. But then I came here. The competition was tougher, and I wasn't good enough. And he still does not help me. I'm ready to be my own man now. I've always been. And I realized this just a couple months ago. Roja does not know what it takes to win. I know what it takes to win. That's why I cut him loose. He is not a man for this business anymore. We will meet again, he and I. And when we do, I will cause him more pain than he has ever felt in his life. And he will understand how much the business changed and how he nearly cost me my career. He will pay for that. Wow, quite the opening speech from Jackel, talking about his former mentor, La Tortuga Roja. And I can't say I agree with him, but certainly he was right when he said we can't picture what he's been through in his life. So maybe he's got a reason that makes sense to him. What I know is Yamamoto making her way to the ring, the second youngest competitor in GAW, one of the most talented women in the world, and she is the #1 contender to Lazara's Academy Championship. We just saw Kristen Sakamoto pick up a win over on GAW Dark last week. It was a fairly straightforward victory over Thunderbolt Suzuki, so she's coming in on a little bit of momentum right now. Her sister Catherine still rehabbing an ankle injury, so Kristen is here, and she could really put a damper on Yamamoto's quest for the Academy Championship. Kristen immediately starts out with a big single leg drop kick. Stick around, folks. The main event tonight is Kurt Andrews versus Eddie Hernandez. That is going to be an incredible match that you cannot miss. Now, of course, this match is a can't miss match either. Yamamoto, one of the most talented women in the world, at just 19 years old. She's held gold in Stardom. I mean, that's the level. That's the level that Yamamoto has been at for, I mean, almost her entire life. She's held gold in Stardom. She was the Pro Wrestling Wave World Champion at 17 years old. She was trained by the legendary Kazuchika Okada. I mean, this woman has it all. Now, Kristen is no slouch herself, trained by the equally legendary Katsuyori Shibata. She was a former Invicta Atomweight champion. And now, Kristen, with a beautiful slingshot suplex there with a sit-out. Kristen and Yamamoto were actually in a little bit of a controversy before either of them came to the GAW Academy. Kazuchika Okada famously called Yamamoto the future of wrestling. Oh, Kristen, hang on, Kristen. Behind, she's got the rear naked choke locked in. She uses to beat her sister Catherine in the Stormchaser tournament. Still in this standing position here, but Yamamoto with a jawbreaker frees herself. So Yamamoto is famously called the future of wrestling. Well, shortly after that, Shibata, in response to Okada, called Kristen Sakamoto the true future of Japanese wrestling. So these two, kind of by proxy, were involved in a controversy. Shibata and Okada exchanged a war of words, mostly over Twitter. And now Yamamoto, look at this. She's got a rear naked choke locked in on Kristen. And Kristen was able to get to the ropes and provide herself a little bit of leverage. Uses the jawbreaker to break that submission, but Yamamoto has become famous for using wrestlers' moves against them. And sometimes it works in the case of Catherine Sakamoto, where Yamamoto used the Legend Killer to beat her. Sometimes it doesn't in the case of Lazara in the Stormchaser tournament. But Yamamoto beat Catherine Sakamoto in a #1 contenders match during the Stormchaser tournament. So she is the #1 contender to Lazara's Academy Championship. We've been so busy over the last couple of weeks figuring out, exactly how this is all going to work with the new weekly show here on Stormchaser and the brewing controversy between the budding rivalry, I should say, between Kurt Andrews and Garrett Gibson, and we haven't seen so much of the women. Oh, look at this. Yamamoto on the top rope is Kristen DDT as Kristen was hung up on the top rope. What an impactful move, and Yamamoto with the cover. Kristen kicks out at 2. And again, as I say, we'll see Kurt Andrews later on tonight against Eddie Hernandez. Hernandez's impending match with Yunsan Park. We will have more details on that for you next week. That is a promise. Yamamoto, she's going to the high red district. Elbow drop. One of the prettiest there is. Yamamoto comes crashing down on the chest of Kristen and a discus lariat. Yamamoto in the cover. Yes! Yamamoto absolutely destroys Kristen Sakamoto with an elbow drop and a discus lariat. She didn't even need to go for the Rainmaker. Wow. What a match. And look at this. This is Academy Women's Champion Lazara. She's made her way out to ringside. Lazara and Yamamoto face to face. Oh! Yamamoto, a little shoulder bump there. Wow, this can only mean that these two women are on a collision course for some point in the future, and I cannot wait. I was brought in here to make sure things run smoothly, and I've been highly accepted by all of you, for which I'm very thankful. Now, I know as well as anyone that a good commissioner doesn't just sit on the stoop and wait for problems to fix. He helps fix the problems before they happen. And one problem I see happening is our lack of tag team champions. You see, there are lots of tag teams in this company, but nothing to fight over. So we'll be bringing back the tag titles. We've got ourselves a tag match next, so I figured this was a good time to bring it up. If you're someone out there that thinks you got a chance to win gold, you go find yourself a partner. Any team could be that first champion. There will be no tournament, no battle royal, nothing like that. The two best teams, after a few matches, they'll get to fight for the belts. And I decide who that is. I'll see you guys tonight for another announcement in the main event. Wow, the Tag Team Championships are coming back. I figured it was just a matter of time, and Jason Parker, as usual, he is very timely with when he chooses to make announcements, because here is Woods Club. Now, these are two guys, Seth and Lance Woods, that we signed in the GAW. They've been in the academy for a few months now, and they are a long-time team, but as Jason Parker said, there's nothing for teams to fight over right now. Well, that's all going to change, and the Woods Club, having been teaming for about 10 years, they've got to be considered favorites right now for the new tag team titles. Oh! Andrew Wesley! Jason Parker did say to get your teams together. He said if there's anyone out there that feels like they can make a run at gold, get your team. And Andrew Wesley, well, I think he thinks he can make a run at gold right now. The World Championship, the Academy Championship picture is pretty jammed up with Kurt Andrews and Garrett Gibson, so Andrew Wesley, why not? He got himself a big win on Dark, but the only question is, who did he pick to team with? No way! I had just mentioned that Andrew Wesley got a big win on Dark. Well, guess who it was against? It was against the Arm Collector, Frankie Omega. It was an incredible match. You should go back and watch it if you haven't seen it. It was the best match of the night. Those two fought. It was in an absolutely hellacious battle. And apparently the two have decided that they are going to team to try to go after these tag team championships. Now, is this team going to work? Is this going to be too much of a clash of personalities? Are they even going to have enough chemistry? I mean, clearly they know each other. They do have some history. They've never been a formal team, but obviously they're talented. So the question is, are they going to be able to compete against a team in Woods Club that has been teaming for about 10 years? The only way to find out is to watch the match, and I am really excited. Well, this is your classic experience versus inexperience battle here, and experience is so important when it comes to tag team wrestling. There's no doubt about it, you know, and even more so than singles wrestling. You gotta have chemistry with your partner. The flow of matches are so different. The double team moves, I mean, everything is just so important as Andrew Wesley drives the knees into the rib cage of Lance Woods. We saw him use that very same move against Frankie Omega in their match on Dark, and Lance Woods, you're gonna have to do a little bit more work than that. As we say, the Woods Club, they've been teaming together for 10 years. So they've obviously got the experience advantage, but you know, there is ample precedent in the history of wrestling for two singles guys to develop instant chemistry, and maybe they've just done it here. Look at that, a throwback to Red Dragon. I think these guys talked a little bit before the match. I mean, they couldn't be any more different in terms of, oh, spinning kick caught by Frankie Omega. They couldn't be any different in terms of their upbringing and their early histories in professional wrestling. Frankie Omega was raised in Ireland, so he was trained in the European scene, but he cut his teeth on the underground scene, of course. He's won over 50 titles in his underground career. 10-time world champion. Andrew Wesley is New Japan Dojo trained, moved to Pro Wrestling Noah. That's where he cut his teeth as a GHC national champion. But you can never really predict who's going to strike up chemistry and for what reason, so you never know. This is the time to really find a team that's going to make an impact right now. Oh! Omega sends Lance Woods flying off the apron. And now Seth into the tree of woe. Omega, what's he doing here? Omega from the complete other side of the ring. Oh my God! Omega! He's gonna go coast to coast! Unbelievable from Frankie Omega, showcasing the athleticism. Lance Woods makes it up just in time because I think Seth Woods might need some help here. Into the cover, and Lance does break things up. Andrew Wesley just not fast enough. Scoop slam countered by Lance. Omega, grounded hammerlock, and he's got the arm caught. This is not the arm collector submission, but anything to work on that arm, and you gotta believe the Fujiwara armbar is coming if this one doesn't do the job. Seth able to free himself now into a vertical suplex position. Omega counters out of it and flies in with the forearm. And Omega, look at this, here is the arm collector. He got him down into it. Beautifully done, and he bridges. It is locked in deep, and Seth Woods has to tap. No other choice. And Frankie Omega and Andrew Wesley have won. They have upset Woods Club. This is unbelievable. I told you that you can never predict when a team is going to have chemistry. And who could have predicted this? But there it is, folks, the arm collector, and nothing either member of Woods Club could do. The tag team ranks are wide open right now. The question on everyone's mind is whether or not Leiter, the legend of the GAW Academy, is going to get back into tag team wrestling now that the belts have been reactivated. He was the first ever tag team champion. He was part of the Titans, one of the most unbeatable teams in the world. Is he going to get back in? That's going to be the question on everyone's mind. But first, we have to make an announcement here of another team that is going to throw their hats into the ring to try to win the new tag team championships. Take a look.
Americans traditionally love to fight. All real Americans love the sting of battle. When you were kids, you all admired the champion marble shooter, the fastest runner, big league ball players, the toughest boxers. Americans love a winner. That's why Americans have never lost and will never lose a war, because the very thought of losing is hateful. An army is a team. It lives, eats, sleeps, fights as a team. My God, I actually pity those poor bastards we're going up against. By God, I do.
Hey, yo, we been back. Your band stacking, see you flexing with the thin stack.
War is coming to GAW, and I think when they arrive, they will be the immediate favorites for the new tag team championships. Of course, the question is going to be Leiter's role in the new tag team division, if he has any, but hopefully we'll get that answered for us soon. One thing I can tell you that we will get answered for us, Kurt Andrews and Eddie Hernandez, they are both waiting on some big matches. Kurt Andrews is the #1 contender for the Academy Championship, currently held by Garrett Gibson, and Eddie Hernandez is, of course, going to fight Yun-San Park, and we will get information on the time and place of both of those matches next week on Stormchaser, so make sure that you subscribe so you can see that. And it's a good time to mention, if you ever miss anything going on in the world of general admission wrestling, head on over to our website, generaladmissionwrestling.com, and you can read up on all of it, catch up in minutes. Eddie Hernandez the face of the GAW Academy. What a main event this is. He takes on Kurt Andrews, the #1 contender to the Academy title. This is going to be just an incredible match. I cannot wait for this, as I'm sure you can probably tell. Hernandez, of course, has a match upcoming with Yunsan Park, as I mentioned. Go back and watch their emotional exchange on the first episode of Stormchaser. It was tremendous. But right now, for both of these men, this is going to be nothing but one of the best matches you can possibly find. 10 minutes here. Hernandez's spot in his match against Yunsan Park is not on the line. Andrews' #1 contendership is not on the line. This is all about delivering one of the best matches that you will ever see. They've already done it once in the Stormchaser tournament group stages. It was the final match of that tournament, at least of the group stages. They were both undefeated. It was absolutely brilliant. Go back and watch it if you haven't already. And before this match becomes too compelling and we don't want to talk about anything else, let's send it to our commissioner, Jason Parker, who's in his office to make his announcement. Hey, I'm starting to like this office here. I don't think I'm going to leave anytime soon. But if that's going to be the case, I got to make sure that I lay down the law around here. Leiter came to me and he asked for a main event match. He said he wants to get back into tag team wrestling, so fine. He's got it. He'll team with Dagonite next week in the main event. Oh, and by the way, Katana, Caitlin, I see what you guys are doing. You'll be fighting in the main event on Doc next week. No DQ. Have fun. Wow, we've been speculating about Leiter's potential involvement in the tag team ranks. Kurt Andrews going for a cover here after that cannonball. Hernandez kicks out. We've been speculating about his involvement in the tag team division, and we may very well have gotten ourselves a confirmation. Leiter has angled for a main event match with Dagonite, a man with whom he has teamed before. The 19-year-old Dagonite did very, very well for himself teaming with Leiter during the Stormchaser tournament. Leiter was obviously impressed. German suplex into a cover here from Andrews. Hernandez kicks out. I'm very much looking forward to see if Leiter is going to be a permanent part of the tag team ranks. As I say, he is a legend here in GAW when it comes to tag team wrestling. And of course that match, Dunlap versus Katana on Dark this coming Wednesday. That's going to be exciting. No DQ action there. If you missed their first match on Dark last Wednesday, Katana upset GAW's hottest young rookie. Dunlap responded, as she tends to do, by beating the hell out of Katana after the match was over. I'm glad to see that Jason Parker is getting control of that one fairly quickly. Hernandez baiting in Kurt Andrews, hits him with that huge right haymaker. Into the front chancery goes Chopper, and he releases. He knows how important it is to ground Kurt Andrews. So that front chancery, he didn't get a move out of it, but it just stops Andrews from using his athleticism. It didn't stop him for very long, though. From the top, here is Kurt Andrews, turns around, and a Hurricane Rana from the second rope. Andrews, one of the best athletes we have here, and now going for a cover, and Hernandez, kicks out before two. Wow. Cutter attempt, foiled by Hernandez, but he walks right into a running crossbody. You can hear the impact from here. Front chancery now from Andrews, shin breaker, keeps the hold of it, and a dragon screw leg whip. This is so much fun to watch, the battle between these two guys. Talk about fight forever. Andrews lights the torch. That standing moonsault he calls light the torch. It is electrifying, one might say. Hernandez, though, with a nice double leg takedown, and now Chopper up to the top rope. Here is Eddie Hernandez looking for the drive-by. Kurt Andrews out of the way. These two men know each other so well, it's well scouted, and Andrews, after Hernandez crashed down, Andrews with the cover and the win. Eddie Hernandez comes crashing down to the mat, and Kurt Andrews takes advantage. Had he not lit the torch right before that, I don't think it would have been an issue. But after feeling the impact of a 230-pound man right on the rib cage and then falling from that height onto nothing, that was a very, very well-planned match from Kurt Andrews, and you can see why the Buccaneer is the #1 contender for the Academy Championship. So much work done on the midsection of Eddie Hernandez. That second rope Hurricane Rana, he lights the torch right here. So much work done on the rib cage of Eddie Hernandez, and you can see the height that he falls from. Look at the peak height. He's got to be 15 feet in the air, and he falls down, and Kurt Andrews knows exactly what he needs to do. Look at this, great show of respect here between these two men. You love to see it. These are two guys that respect each other immensely, as they should. We'll have more information about both Hernandez's match with Park and Andrews' match with Garrett Gibson for the Academy title next week on Stormchaser. So you got to make sure that you join us to learn what is to come. Thank you so much, folks. Remember, visit generaladmissionwrestling.com. We appreciate you.